Oh, ladies, I am so glad you're here with me today. I can't even tell you how happy I am that we've decided to do this. And for all of you who are tuning in and you're wondering what this is Unapologetic Women Share.
We're unapologetic women.
Yeah, and we happen to find that uh, not just humorous, but humor is part of it, right? When you're not apologetic, you get to see the humor in everything. And we have created this video and we talked to a couple women and everyone was on board and like, oh my gosh, yes, this is great. This is what you need to do. So I will tell you that when the three of us came together and we started having a conversation, we realized we have some synchronicities and some similarities and some uh, same life concepts. And we thought, you know, the word unapologetic keeps popping up between the three of us during our conversations. Why don't we create something about living your life unapologetically? So, ta-da! We're here to do that. And I am so excited to share this is a time, as well as the women that we talk to believe that this is the right time for us to share this topic. Now, what does it mean to live unapologetically? Does it mean you can just walk up behind someone and kick them in the back and not apologize? No, absolutely not. But it means that, we are really done apologizing for making more money than our spouse or our parents or our siblings. We're done apologizing for not staying in a relationship or a marriage that no longer serves us. We're done apologizing for not wanting to get married, for wanting to get married, for not wanting to have children, for wanting to have children, for thinking that we did a really great job being a mom, but someone thinks we didn't do a great job being a mom. And you know what? Okay, I did the best that I could. So, it's about not apologizing, being unapologetic. And this is how we are showing up. And I am very excited to roll this out. If you can hear this drum roll in your head, roll this out. So before we go any farther, Sherri, can you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous?
Thank you, Nancy. Sherri Danzig. My company is called Choosing Vibrancy, and that really speaks to, I think, my mantra in life is I really believe that we get to choose how we want to live. And I'm not saying it's always easy and it's a straight line because it's not. Life has bumps and curves and so forth. And I think to always remember that we get to choose how we live. And I think vibrancy is, well, it speaks to being colorful and full of life and going through life as an adventure. So I have a career of being in the wellness field for well over 30 years. I've been a massage therapist, a birth doula, a wellness consultant of an international wellness company, and I have a global team, particularly in North America and in Latin America, where we are all about sharing wellness and ways to create a wellness lifestyle. And then, in case I needed one more hat to wear, and all of this has really evolved and it's been rolled out as I've gone through my journey. So I got very interested in mindset work. So I was really focused on the physicality of wellness as a massage therapist and a doula and creating these wellness environments. And so, but you can't leave the mind out because the mind and body are so intertwined. And so it was really my own experience, my own journey of understanding that self-care is so important, sleep is so important, and knowing it and doing it and living it are two different things. So I really looked at my own journey of my own challenges of how I took care of myself and how I um, didn't put me first, that's where this whole my course about creating a self-care that is truly at the heart of everything that we want and desire. And it's focused mostly on women who are feeling overwhelmed, feeling underappreciated, and probably doing a whole lot of apologizing. So, that's how I've shown up from this whole journey of mine. And I catch myself, I mean, the funniest thing is like somebody bumps into you and you apologize, right? We are so weird for that. It's like I feel so ridiculous. And here's the thing is that you may not be aware of how often you say I'm sorry. And I think that's something when you're listening to this, start paying attention to it because when you raise your awareness, that's when you can start making some shifts. And you're not going to do it perfect. None of us are. I still say I'm sorry at times when I'm like, well, that was silly. Um, and so it's raising the awareness of realizing. And so now what I'll say, instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, I'll say, thank you for your patience. Because that's really what I want to say. Like, I appreciate that
Wow.
you were waiting for me. So it's like making a little bit of a tweak that is empowering instead of showing up already putting yourself down. Like I'm already, oh, I screwed up. Let me start this whole conversation or interchange because I've screwed up, right? So that's a little bit about me and what has been so why this connection with you two women is has been so yummy is that we've come together and I also have this real value of things being in life being of ease, downhill, and that's what this interchange has been since we've been collaborating. Has been so easy and so fun. And I love that we get to laugh as we are taking on things that are really important to us, near to our heart, that we do it with
Yeah,
humor.
absolutely. Thank you, Sherri. Udana, please tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous.
Well, my name is Udana Power, and I am an author, speaker, and I'm also a life coach. I work with Psych K because I believe we are all a body, mind, soul continuum, and you cannot just fix the stuff on the outside. It's from the inside out. I'm also passionate about health. I'm a multi-million dollar earner in the network marketing industry. I do teach it, but I teach it because I want to really help women because I feel that the largest unpaid or underpaid workforce in the world is women. And I believe the Dalai Lama when he said it's the Western women that are going to save the world. So not that we all have to go save the world ourselves, but I want to acknowledge women's power that you already have and help you activate that into your fullness of being in the world. And we need health, money, and love to do it. So that's kind of what I do as a living. And one of the reasons why I responded to being in this discussion with you and with women here was because I have a friend who stops me every time I say I'm sorry. I grew up saying I'm sorry. I was like, it was almost a deep apology for being here
Mhm.
because I had grown-ups in my world who that was a good way to manipulate us. And I've fallen into that trap so many times. And actually, in my 50s, I woke up and said, boundary? What's a boundary? So basically, I'm here to share what I've discovered over these many years about women becoming whole and free in the world because we are these enormous cornucopias. We're the doorway to heaven. Everything comes through us into the world. And when we all keep saying, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and somebody bumps you and you go, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we say, I'm sorry about everything. And I want to do this with a sense of humor because we want to magnify your brilliance in help you activate your power to heal our culture and our families. So that's what I have to say. That's why I'm here and why I am in love with this group of women.
Woohoo! You go, girl.
I
And
love your
are you
energy.
sensing a theme here, those of you watching? Because, it's all about mind, body, spirit, right? I
Yeah.
am Sensei Nancy Mueller, and I am here to raise people up. I know that that's my purpose. Now, what does that mean? I don't have any kind of impact, or yeah, I do have impact, but I don't have any kind of say over someone else. I only have say over myself. I only have, um, I can only do what I can do for myself. And we've all heard it about the airplane, putting your mask on, blah, blah, blah. That story's been told, blah, 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 blah. But sometimes we don't really get it. You know, you cannot pour from an empty vessel. We've heard that one a lot too. But when we're not doing that, when we're not putting ourselves first, it's because we've got that apology mindset going, and it can be like a default setting in our psyche, in our on a cellular level. And I work with people 40 and up, women 40 and up, mastering their beliefs. And it's about really being the woman that you want to be. What do you want to do? Because life after 40 is so freaking fabulous, because this is the time when you're freeing yourself up from all of those ties that had you bound. Of course, that's what you thought. And I am included in that. And I know these women are too. So it's about freeing yourself. Now, I want to say that I had an uncle, one of my favorite uncles, and I just love this. Every single time the family would get together and he would be getting ready to leave, he would say, "I'm glad you got to see me." And I thought, how cool is that? And I kind of adopted that a little bit. Sometimes when I'm places where people know me, you know, as they're leaving, I'm like, "Hey, bye, glad you got to see me." And it could sound so arrogant, really, right? Like, well, what is that supposed to mean? But I really am glad you got to see me, because I'm putting my best foot forward. I'm loving my life. I'm being happy. You know, for many, many years, I had no idea that my default setting for how I feel was unhappy. And imagine, it was like, how could somebody go around with that default setting of being unhappy? So it doesn't matter, like, oh, I got this, I grabbed this, I succeeded here, I've done this. But if your default setting is unhappy, how are you really going to enjoy life? And so many of us are walking around with default settings about something, whether it's unhappiness, whether it's about not being able to make enough money, whether it's about being um, not feeling well, you know, being in an unfulfilling relationship, whatever it is. So, you know, Elvis is one of my guys, man, I got to tell you. And he has a song called Your Happy Place, or Be Happy, or anyway, part of the words go, we're all born with a magic key. It's inside of us. And yet this key doesn't unlock anything until you put a smile on your face.
Oh my God.
It's called Have a Happy. That's the name of the song. And, you know, I used to sing that song to my girls when they were little. And so sometimes, you know, like I have that on my Spotify playlist, because when that song comes on, I remind myself, oh yeah, am I unlocking the key to my happiness? Because the key to happiness lies within.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the three of us discovered when we were talking about, well, when we were coming together and meeting each other and then deciding about this video series that we're going to do, we knew that we wanted to break for silly. And then somebody said, well, that really means that you look for the humor in things, right? That you look for the laughter in things, that you don't take things too seriously. And we said, we agreed. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So whether you call it, we break for silly, we break for happy, we break for loving our lives, we break for partying like purple, we're here to make the next 30 minutes or so happy, insightful, enjoyable, and hopefully you walk away being a couple notches above where you were when you first started watching this video.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Awesome.
Now, Sherri, I love that you say, you know, you were adding the mental part of your of the process, the life process, the life experience into your work. And Udana, I've heard you say so many times, because I've known you for so many years, I often describe you as like the happiness fairy, the laughter fairy, you know, just fluttering around saying, I want you to laugh and I want you to laugh and I want you to laugh. Gosh, Udana, you've been doing that through movies and TV and on stage and Hollywood and wherever else the heck else it's taken you. And it's so interesting to me how the three of us have been incorporating this
Yeah.
happiness piece. And something that came up for me when I was thinking about this topic that we're doing about being unapologetic is, in order to be unapologetic, we first have to understand why we apologize. So I'm all about mastering your beliefs. Because I believe everything goes back to what you believe is true.
Right.
And what we believe is true comes from something that we intuited or were taught or told in childhood. So when we're thinking about where our belief about being unhappy or having to apologize comes in, here's some food for thought, a seed to plant in your mind, something to think about. Because again, take our information, don't take our information, but it's up to you. So how many of you can think about times when you were little and that you were in a position where maybe one or both of your parents were scolding you, and that's a polite word, right? Maybe punishing you, maybe getting way more physical, and you were being punished for something you did, a wrong choice that you made, and you're saying, they were teaching you, like, why did you do that? That was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. Now, that's not to say that parents shouldn't be teaching children, but it's not necessarily what they're teaching us so much as what we're taking from what they're teaching us. Because a parent could be teaching a really wonderful, happy moment, kumbaya moment, but it's about how the child's going to take it on. Likewise, I don't know about you ladies, but when I was younger, the church was a very big part of our life. We would go every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, on Wednesdays, and every other chance that they had to go. And so, we had these altar calls where we're constantly having to walk up to the front of the church and confess our sins and confess all the things that we did wrong. And, so you're like this little child, like under 10, and you're thinking, gosh, I thought I was being good this week, but I don't know, maybe I wasn't being a good child. And then you've got these adults murmuring, like, forgive her. And you're like, okay. So, and then, we're inventing things to like apologize for, I'm sorry. So wherever it comes from, the thing is that this time in our life, it's not about trying to figure out where it came from. It's about letting it go. And I'd like to have a discussion today, ladies, about letting it go. What do you think?
I love it.
Sherri, oh, go ahead, Udana.
Well, I'm, and I don't, and for those who are watching, we're all sharing our points of view, and I'm getting ahas out of this. And I think that's the whole point. You're going to get your ahas because we get to air it out in a way that we can see things differently. And what you said, I had never thought of that. What's your default setting?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, what's my default setting? And it was shame, because I was deliberately, shame, she wants it. Oh, she can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But it was a default setting, and that doesn't match the success that we aim for. Yeah. I mean, so looking at our default setting and being able to turn the dial in and feel, like you said, like, oh my gosh, I'm bad. What did I do bad? How about, what did I do good? Can't think of her name, the woman who did Spanx, who created Spanx, the youngest billionaire ever to come. She said every dinner, her dad said, okay, what did you fail at today? Like, wow, because you failed, you learned something. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you failed at, not what you were good at or why did you fail. It was like, hey, tell us what you failed at. So they would discuss what they failed at. And he said another thing to her, which he said, visualize every day what you want to have happen and visualize it in detail, mm-hmm. and just feel it all, which we all know. However, how many times do we do it? How many times do we forget? But she would set that vibration in motion and be welcome to her failure. Woohoo! I'm going to learn something. And if we can start adopting those kind of attitudes by what you said, Nancy, about what is our default setting for where we are? Is it, oh my gosh, Now, how am I going to fit in? And are they going to are they going to yell at me? And is it okay? Or can I take care of everybody, and give them all my energy? We get to share from the overflow, guys. You get to do that by the energy that you carry with us in your magnificence. So that's my aha. You said something profound. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. And I love that because Sarah Blakely, the creator of
Oh, that's
Things,
right.
I mean, she's living her life unapologetically. What a great example, Udana.
Yeah.
That is an awesome example. I didn't realize that story. And I think, boy, to have that at such a young age, how fabulous is that, right? Because many of us figure that out later in life. And I mean, I was someone that I thought I had, a really pretty good childhood. I had some trauma. I'm not going to go into it this moment. But it was really later in life that I realized that I was struggling with that sense that I think so many women feel of that less of we're not enough. There's that lack of enoughness. And so that was something that I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I was the only daughter of three brothers. I mean, I know there was some gender typing, that I was supposed to be the nurturing, I was a school teacher when I went to school. That's what I went to school for. I mean, I loved it. And yet, I think I was kind of pushed down a particular, you know, path because I was a girl, right? So there was that.
Right.
It like you said, it doesn't really matter. I don't think we're not here to go back and analyze. That's something sometimes people need to do in therapy. And I think it is important to get clear about what it is, what those stories are, because I think we have to unravel it. I think we have to get really honest with ourselves. It
Yeah.
is an inside job. I mean, that's a big part of what I like to do with clients when I'm working one-on-one about all of these challenges that are you're feeling less than, that you don't feel like you can really stand up and put yourself in your own life as this, the leading actress. And so I think another thing that's really exciting about this is it's never too late. No matter how many years you've been struggling with it, you could be 99, and God bless you if you have an aha at that age, hopefully sooner. Um, I think I was in my 50s before I really started looking at all this. So, I think it's really important that we look at it. And I love what you said about that being the default, because some things that I learned is that and I think this comes from me being a body worker and paying attention to the body, because our minds are so darn clever. They can tell us different things, and, we can compartmentalize. I had some of that as a kid where I was, reframing something or flat out ignoring it,
Yeah.
because things you didn't want to pay attention to. The body, though, is always telling the truth. We have to learn to listen to it. So that whole listen to your gut, which is, I don't think it's for everybody. For many people, it's the gut where you feel the tension, could be the chest, could be the feet, I don't know. But to get clear about listening to your body and pay attention, like, what is my body trying to tell me? What is it wanting to tell me, and listening to that? And I think that's where we can start getting into the figuring out and having some empathy and insight of what is out of alignment. And that's where we can start, recreating more of a life that is our choosing. And we do that in a moment to moment, day to day. I think that opportunity is there. So those are some tools. And another thing that I learned that I wanted to say too about the whole thing with, being happy or smiling, is that I realized that you can't be in a place of really feeling defeated or sad or fearful and smile or laugh. They can't coexist at the same time, right?
Exactly.
So that is such a great tool. And I have a coach that I worked with for a lot of years. He talks about the smile exercise. So I have learned to do that, where I could be in a place where I'm feeling bad. Let's say I'm really scared about something or worried about something, and putting on just not a fake smile, not one of these, like, but a gentle smile, and then saying an affirmation. And, I don't go from, 60 to 0 or 0 to 60, I guess. But it definitely moves the needle, definitely makes a difference. And it happens almost instantaneous. And that's from a smile, and thinking something positive. So,
Yeah. And one of the things my brother used to do a lot, one of my brothers, was he used to say, okay, so are you being grumpy today? Can you be happy or gonna be grumpy? Can you be happy? Can you be? And he would do that. And then each time he'd say, can you be happy? Then he would laugh. And of course, unless you know my brother or loved my brother like I did, um, it's about really, it's about creating one of these steps or processes or practices that feels best for you. Because we all know that there are laws of the universe. And when we're born, the law of gravity is something we figure out pretty quickly, right? We're crawling around, and if we crawl off the couch, we're going to topple to the floor. We learn that we can't just float up in the air. But nobody ever teaches us that the law of gravity is something to be afraid of. But yet, the law of attraction, which is how we know all of this works, and most people are kind of meshing that or intermingling it with a deity in the sky, and they fear it. Somehow along the line, they fear this universal law. So I think a question we can ask ourselves is, if I'm not afraid of the law of gravity, why am I afraid of the law of attraction? Why am I afraid of attracting to me everything that I deserve to have, everything I want to have, everything I love to have, everything that makes me feel like partying like purple every day? And when we realize it's just law, that's it. Just like gravity, we don't give too much thought to gravity. So if we don't give a lot of thought, focus, and attention on the law of attraction, and we just say, hey, I'm just going to start using it to attract all the stuff I want without apologizing. And it's such a different concept when we think about the permission that we're giving ourselves to live life unapologetically. And I love that. And I think like we've been really heavy on this conversation so far. So Udana, this is where I'm expecting you to step in and share something like, that it's going to be a Udanaism, and we are going to enjoy hearing what you're going to invoke right now.
Oh, well, thanks for putting me on the spot, right?
You're welcome. I know you're
Not
good
on
at that.
me.
Improv. It's all good.
Well, there's one other piece of this, and I'm not going to go deeply into it because, yes, we have the law of attraction, but there's another one that I've been looking at for 30 years. I'm finally finishing the book, and I call it the law of blooming. Everything organic is
I love
blooming,
that.
including you, including me. And I learned about it when I was very, very sick, and I was sprouting a lot of sprouts. And you see a little seed in it, and then you germinate it, and then all of a sudden this little sprout comes up the top. And then you wash it and you germinate it some more, and another sprout comes out the bottom. And I always ask, I say to an audience, I say, tell me, where does that sprout come from?
Hmm. Well, we're frozen. Don't know what happened. Nancy, can you hear me?